Hello and welcome to International Youth Talkshow. Now this talk show is a youth space and forum where young people get to share their challenges, hopes, aspirations and dreams. Now this season, as we are starting a new season, we're going to be concentrating more with young people and entrepreneurial activities. We realize that young people are the backbone of any community because they have the strength and zeal and passion to work, and therefore we want to bring in people that are able to then build them in the business sector. Now today we have a very special guest, and his name is Stan, who is the director of Kondoa Institute, an entrepreneurial institute that builds young people. Welcome, Stan.
Thank you for inviting me.
How are you?
I'm great. Yourself?
I am well. Please reintroduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Stan. I'm a director for the Kondoa Institute.
Okay.
The Kondoa Institute is actually an abbreviation that means can-do attitude.
Okay.
That is what we are about, instilling a can-do attitude in young people to succeed in their careers.
Okay. Now today we're going to be talking about branding ourselves as young people and the do's and don'ts in an interview. Yes, which I think those are some of the most important things that as young people we miss. So I want to know, Stan, what is branding?
Okay, when you look at personal branding, as it were, this is a way of engaging yourself, marketing yourself as a brand, as it is. And this is a way of making yourself, your image, stick in people's minds.
Okay.
And you would want to create a positive brand, as it were.
Okay.
So there are certain things that you'll do that make that kind of image and stick in people's minds so that they speak positively about you.
Okay. So why is branding so important to us as young people?
You'd find that if you are a person who's young and growing up, either you want to engage yourself in entrepreneurial activities or you want to work, you want to line up your dots so that you've got people who speak positively about you all the time.
Okay.
So you'd want to ensure that your character and the way you behave in society lines up. Okay.
I know that, branding, when we talk about branding yourself, a lot of young people say, Idini, can I actually be branded? I mean, that's for celebrities or that's for companies, or that's for big people. Can we say that every young person has a potential to become a brand?
Definitely yes. You'd find that it starts with what you value as an individual, as a young person. So yes, everyone has got the potential to become a brand in their own niche.
Okay.
Whether you want to be working, whether you want to have a business, you have that potential. Okay.
And then I know that when it comes to branding, people de-link it most of the time with the values that a person believes in and leadership. How can we link branding yourself as a young person and your values and leadership skills?
Okay, first and foremost, you find that branding takes discipline.
Okay.
You need to be disciplined, and this is one thing that is enacted in the act of leadership itself, or even also in values, because values are things that we hold as important. So when you start from, that discipline process, then you are actually going to link it together with how you've been socialized and then the leadership itself.
Okay. All right. So how can we brand ourselves as young people?
Well, like I mentioned, first and foremost, it's an act of seriously engaging yourself in a series of activities.
Okay.
First and foremost, who are you? You need to know who you are. And when we mention who are you, we're simply talking about what is your profession? What are your skills? Do you know them? What is your passion?
Yes.
Do you know it? And as you do that, you get to know yourself. Okay. Then secondly, you need to also set specific goals.
Yes.
As young guys, as growing up, we need to know exactly where we are going.
Yes.
We call it activating your future.
Okay.
You need to plan, set specific goals about what you want to achieve as an individual, and then you stick to it.
Okay.
You'd find now that process of sticking to those objectives is what then carves out the branding as it is.
Okay.
Obviously, you need to manage your online and your social media.
Yeah.
As a director, from time to time we actually call people to send in their CVs, and sometimes we check their WhatsApp,
Okay.
the profile statements. You find somebody writing a profile statement like ka software
Okay.
that sort of thing, and you are looking for a job,
Okay.
and you put such. I mean, so you need to manage what you put on your social media. It has to sort of, the dots should link up.
Yeah.
If you put something on LinkedIn and then you've got a different CV as it were, then that sort of creates some dishonesty. So you need to do that. Then number 3, you need to network.
Okay.
Network with the right people in your profession, as it were.
Yes.
If you're gonna be an entrepreneur, network with the right people.
Okay.
If you are going to vie for work, network with the right people in your career.
Okay.
They will tell you what to do and what not to do. So that should really, come up as a good strategy for branding yourself.
Wow, I learned a lot because I think, we feel like some of these big words like branding yourself, they belong to other people that are not us, as young people. And I would really like to thank you for clarifying some of those pointers and notes. After the break, we're going to be talking to Stan about the do's and don'ts of an interview. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the show. Now, just before the break, we were with Stan, and we're still with Stan, as he was telling us why it's important for young people to brand themselves. Now, right now, we're going to be talking about interviews and the importance of interviews and what we need to do when we go to interviews. I know a lot of young people right now are going in and out of interviews, and sometimes they actually don't go as well as we would have anticipated. So Stan will be telling us the do's and don'ts of an interview. Welcome back, Stan.
All right, thank you.
Stan, what is an interview?
Okay, without being bookish about it,
Okay.
an interview is just a conversation.
Okay.
We carry out interviews on a daily basis.
Yeah.
When you get into a shop, you make a choice based on the questions you ask yourself.
Okay.
Naturally, people who ask questions, we respond to questions.
Yes.
So an interview is really just a conversation where questions are asked and answers are given.
Okay.
Normally, this is as a result, you make a decision based on that.
Yes.
So that's what an interview is.
Okay. And why are interviews so important when we're talking about young people and when they're looking for jobs?
Okay, you'd find that for you to be able to get into a workplace,
Yes.
you must go through an interview.
Yes.
So that makes it a very important activity in one's young life.
Okay.
And the interviews are also quite important in making decisions.
Okay.
You need to make a decision as a young person,
Yes.
and also the company needs to make a decision
Yes.
on whether they are employing the right person at the end of the day.
Okay.
So that's why they're important.
Okay. So I'm not going to ask you why young people succeed in interviews, but I think what I mostly want to dwell on is why do young people fail at interviews? I mean, they might have a really colorful CV, and they know their stuff, but they fail. Why do you think that is?
Okay, first and foremost, when we carry out the interviews, obviously when we call a person for an interview, we have already noticed that they are qualified.
Yes.
This is the reason why we call them.
Yes.
But you find that the person who prepares for an interview wins the day at the end of it. So a lot of young people fail in interviews because they don't prepare for the interview.
Okay.
First and foremost, secondly, you notice that they don't speak to the interviewer. Because when we carry out an interview, we want to ask certain questions that confirm you're the right person.
Okay.
So a lot of people answer the wrong questions for the right question.
Right. Okay. Okay, so give me an example of the wrong question for the right question.
All right. For example, tell us about yourself.
Yes.
Or no, let me say, why should we hire you, for example?
Yes.
And then somebody will answer the question in a split of a second, because I'm experienced, I'm passionate, I can work under pressure.
Yes.
We do not want to employ you because you are passionate.
Yes.
There are certain things that we are looking for. we are looking for certain keywords,
Okay.
skills. What
Okay.
are you able to do?
Okay.
That's what we are looking for.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. And give me 3 do's and 3 don'ts in an interview.
Okay, you find, I could have 50 do's and 50 don'ts, but since you said 3 do's.
Yeah.
First and foremost, do prepare for the
Okay.
interview.
Okay.
Okay? What I do mean is that find enough information about the organization.
Okay.
You are being interviewed so that you become a solution provider
Mm-hmm.
to the problem that they are having.
Okay.
So you need to go and present yourself as a solution provider.
Okay.
You need to answer the questions as a solution provider.
Okay.
You need to tell them, no, you know what, the problem that you are having about not having an HR person is solved.
Yes.
I am the person who's here.
Yes.
The problem you're having about a salesperson
Yes.
is now solved. I am here.
Okay.
So this is what interviewers want to hear. This is what employers want to hear.
Okay.
Okay, so do prepare. Align yourself to the organization
Yes.
so that it sticks well in their mind.
Yes.
Secondly, do present yourself and create a positive impression.
Yes.
Most of the people that get employed
Mm-hmm.
are the people that are remembered in the interviews.
Yeah.
And after 2 hours of interviewing 30 people, sometimes you don't remember at all. But that person who immediately lights up the room is remembered. So create positive impression. And how do you do that? Go prepared, dress well, dress appropriately, bring the right documents to the interview
Mm-hmm.
as well. So that will immediately create a positive impression.
Okay.
After that impression as well, we talk about mind your body language.
Yes.
That's very important
Okay.
because yes, you can be nervous in an interview. It's allowed.
Mm-hmm.
But if you show that you're nervous, sometimes it presents yourself as being a weakling.
Okay.
And nobody wants to hire weaklings at the end of the day.
So how am I supposed to sit? Am I sitting the right way?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Sit upright.
So guys, this is what you're supposed to
Sit
do.
upright.
Yeah.
And because when you sit upright, you find that you also speak audibly because then
Okay.
interviews are about talking.
Yeah.
It's conversing, and we need to hear what you are saying. If we can't hear what you are saying, then how should we be able to proceed?
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Then lastly, be frank.
Yeah.
Speak the truth.
Yes.
Okay. Interviews are about finding out what you are able to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you, at one point, if we discover that you are not being truthful,
Mhm.
that becomes difficult.
Okay.
Because if you're not going to speak the truth about
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
what else can you not do?
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah,
Exactly.
those are, I would say, my 3 top do's
Okay.
for an interview.
Okay.
Ah,
And then let's go with the 3 top don'ts.
all right.
Mm-hmm.
The first one I would want to mention is that don't just say words.
Yeah.
An interview is a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get into an interview, speak things that have got value
Okay.
and don't talk too much.
Okay.
When you talk too much, you end up saying the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
So just answer the questions and make sure that whatever you're saying has got value and is answering the question.
But sometimes don't you also emphasize that guys, we have to talk the right person, But sometimes does that mean you might get lost along the way?
Exactly, try to think on your feet and, it ends up, winding and sometimes, you know what,
Mm-hmm.
these guys have been interviewing for the past 2 hours or so.
Yeah.
And they're getting tired.
Okay.
They just want you to say the right things,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know to say that sort of thing. Exactly, because sometimes, especially when you don't know exactly what you're saying, people will be busy wondering, Saka. Exactly.
Okay.
Right, so that's first one. Then secondly, one thing we've noticed is that interviews sometimes, depending on the nature of the job, can be tricky.
Yeah.
We can ask you tricky questions.
Okay.
We want to see your character.
Okay.
Are you able to keep certain information confidential?
Okay.
What can you say about our organization? So you could be asked a question. Sometimes people know the question like, can you tell us the bad things your previous organization did?
Yeah.
And people are aware of that one.
Mm.
But what I'm simply trying to say is that don't speak negatively about your past.
Okay.
Yeah, don't speak negatively about your previous organization.
Okay.
That is a no-no. Sometimes it's actually, we call it a killer question.
Okay.
The moment you speak negatively about your previous organization, we begin to get concerned about the security of our organization as well.
That's true.
Because we never know who we might say things to them.
Okay.
So that's number 2.
Yeah.
Then lastly, most people don't thank interviewers.
Yes.
It's always good to thank the person that has called you for an interview, that has provided you an opportunity to speak about yourself. So what I'm simply saying is, when you go for an interview, don't just get up and go, but say something.
Okay.
And remember also to mention that you are grateful.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Wow. I'm learning a lot because I mean, at this age, I'm still going to interviews too. And
Okay,
there are some
yes,
of these things I didn't even know. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, after the break, we'll continue with Stan as he continues to tell us about why it's important to give a good impression when you go to an interview, and we'll also be showing you the type of clothes to wear and not to wear at an interview. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the show. Now, just before the break, we were with Stan, and we're still with Stan as he tells us why it's important for us to present ourselves well in interviews, since we're still young people and we are still going to a lot of interviews that might sometimes be unsuccessful. And Stan is here to help us, shape our interviews and, say the right things at the right time. Welcome back, Stan.
Thank you.
Okay, now, why is it important for us to have a first impression when we go for an interview?
Okay, like mentioned earlier, you'd find that your CV has already brought you to the interview.
Okay.
The contents of your CV have already brought you to the interview.
Okay.
Now, you need to be remembered. This is why you need to create the right impression.
Okay.
So your dots must always line up, right from, when you write your application letter, the CV itself.
Yes.
Now when you get to the interview, you need to present yourself as the person who is ready for work, who's enthusiastic, who's ready to tackle the tasks within that organization.
Okay.
And this is what gets you remembered.
Okay.
If you create a negative impression, that makes the interviewer's job easy.
Okay.
So yeah, you need to, to create an image that sticks in their mind.
I've always seen this when I sometimes go for interviews. Sometimes the fact that I have a really good CV, I'm confident that my CV will take me there. Of which someone who might have less experience actually will get the job, because I get in there and I'm boasting, not giving a good impression because I think that my CV actually gives a good impression.
You know what? Interviews put the human face.
Okay.
Now, you've got a good CV and it's on paper.
Yeah.
But the tasks in the work environment are performed by human beings.
Yes.
So you'd want to get somebody who fits into the organization's culture, as it were.
Okay.
So your piece of paper will not get you there. So as long as you're boasty and you're haughty about it, you might stick to your very good qualifications and experience. But we want somebody who comes in and whom we can be able to work with. So how you relate and converse within that interview really tells us a lot about yourself.
Okay, I learned that. Okay. Now, I know my questions that have to do with, tell us a little bit about yourself. I think they're the most difficult to answer because you don't know the right things to say. Like, what am I supposed to say? I go to church, or I enjoy, I enjoy, hanging out with my friends. You don't really know the right things to say. So, what is the right way of answering that question?
Okay. As you were asking this question, I was actually thinking about somebody else who will say that, I can even work underwater, and, people do get desperate,
yes.
and, what is changing? The world is changing. The economic world is changing, and you have to say the right things that So we always say that you can either go for the passion way,
okay,
or you can go for the skills way.
okay,
And immediately, what you want to send, the message that you want to send to the interviewers or to the interviewing panel is that I am here to provide a solution.
okay.
Okay. So, for example, this is where you don't have to talk about. I was born in Domboy Nanja Primary School, and that sort of thing. But speak the language that these guys are waiting to hear.
Yes.
For example, this is how I would say it.
Yeah.
My name is Stan. I studied HIV and AIDS management from degree to PhD level.
Okay.
I once met a young lady walking out from a hospital.
Yeah.
She approached me. Then I was only in Form 3. She approached me. She was holding a card, and she says, "Excuse me, Mbuasha. This card, I don't understand it." This was in 1992, by the way.
Yes.
I don't understand it. I saw the card. I read it. It was written HIV positive.
Okay.
So she asked me to explain. I was only in Form 3. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I looked at her and I was only saying, you know what it says that you have AIDS. You will die in 6 months. What you need to do is to eat healthy. So with that, I walked away.
Okay.
But I started thinking back and wondering, did this person leave? Did she commit suicide? And you know what? I made a resolution to learn all there is to learn about HIV and AIDS. Okay. As a result, I studied HIV all the way. And this is the reason why I am here for the interview. Because the job provides me then an opportunity to speak and communicate information about HIV and AIDS to all the people that I can meet in memory of that date. That's how I happened today.
That is breathtaking. Remember the last time when I came to your workshop? I was just speechless, and you asked me, Unique, what did you think of that introduction?
Yes.
Oh gosh, I'll give you the job right away.
So you see, the way you answer the questions really determine, what people will do.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could actually win the interview with just one answer to the whole question, the whole session itself.
Okay. So how can I conclude my interview with a bang?
Okay. It's easy. A lot of people forget to conclude, to summarize.
Yes.
Towards the end of the interview, you will notice that the interviewers are pointing out to concluding the interview.
Yeah.
As you do that, if they don't give you an opportunity to ask questions, then just summarize and thank them. If they do give you an opportunity to ask questions, remember, don't interrogate the interviewers. You are not the interviewer.
Okay.
So you just ask clarifying questions. For example, when do I expect to hear from you?
Yes.
Okay. One thing that is annoying is an individual, an interviewee, who behaves and thinks like he has won the job. So just thank, and at the end of it all, just say, thank you so much. Once again, let me reiterate that I would love to be part and parcel of your organization.
Well, thank you so much, Stan, for being here. I'm sure we learned a lot. Well, I learned a lot as a young person who will be getting into a lot of interviews. Thank you so much for giving us this valuable information.
Sure.
Well, thank you so much to all our viewers for watching in. Now you can reach us on www.orbitinternational.com. Follow us on Twitter @OrbitInternational and like us on Facebook. See you next time.